Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
And my name is James, and here we talk about all things Star Wars. But before we get started, we have some amazing people to thank. So let's do that.
Yes, for sure. As always, we want to thank our awesome top tier Patreon supporters out there. Liam McCallion, who's been with us for a long time since the beginning, Kevin Leininger, Deb McCaffrey, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Adam Haber, Front Row King, Cam from Indiana, Mariana Tia Arnold, Rush Jedi 27, and Alex Blundell. Thank you so much for your awesome love and support out there. Also, LegionSabers.com. If you're looking to purchase a new lightsaber or any accessories, check out LegionSabers.com. Use the code STUFF at checkout and get 15% off. You also might see Legion Sabers if you're going to Rebel Scum Con here the weekend of August 10th, my birthday. They might be there. Also, Space Con in San Antonio the weekend before Halloween in October. They should be there as well with a pretty awesome setup. So those lightsabers are awesome. I can't talk enough about them. They're
I
the
know
closest
we
thing.
always end up nerding out about those lightsabers, man. They were literally the best. I mean, I would just walk over there and go up to Izzy, be like, "Hey, can I?" He goes, "Yeah." He knew. He was like, "Yeah, I know you're gonna come over here like 5 other times today just to ask to hold Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber," and it was awesome. So much fun.
Yeah, for sure. Can't say enough about them. The thing that I don't like
Uh-oh.
is when I listen to a podcast and people talk about like their personal lives and their kids, but we're gonna do it anyways.
Uh-oh, here we go. I didn't know about this, so here we go.
So our awesome Patreon supporter out there, Zach Netzel, and co-host, he just had a baby.
Yay! Congratulations, Zach.
And just like Colin, he gave it a very Star Wars-esque name.
What's the baby's name? So just so y'all know, Zach has been like busy, so I really haven't talked to Zach in a bit. So I haven't heard anything. So what's the baby's name?
Okay, let's see how many times you can guess till you hit it.
Oh no, I don't want to do this game because I don't know if it's like he named it after an actor in Star Wars or if he named it after a character in Star Wars. A character.
Yes.
Don't tell me he named a mannequin.
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
You're on the right track though. So yes, so Colin named his son Hayden after Hayden Christensen. Kind of. I mean, it's a good name.
It is a good name.
I don't think that was a sole reason, but but for me, it feels like Zach's sole reason was Star Wars. It's a very Star Wars-esque name. It's a character from Rebels.
Okay. Ezra?
That's the one you would think, but no.
Kanan?
Yes.
I was going to say Zeb next, but I was like, I don't know if that's going to work.
So yeah, congratulations, Zach. Awesome name. Great. Legion Sabers does have the Kanan saber, and that's actually one of my favorite sabers, and we actually used it at Spades.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Last year. So yeah, congratulations, guys. Baby's doing well. Dad, I presume the mom is doing great. So yeah, we're getting we have 2 Star Wars stuff podcast babies now. So
which is a weird sentence to say. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's when David and I first started this podcast. That was something we never thought we would ever say. But hey.
Yeah,
it's great. That's amazing. So yeah, congratulations to both families. That's so great. So happy for them.
For sure. All right, on to the news. So news dropped this week that none other than Mia Goth has been cast in the new Jedi Star, or not Jedi. Is it? No, it's just Starfighter. I'm thinking about the video game.
Yeah.
So the Ryan Gosling starred Sean Levy project, Jedi, or not, jeez, I keep on saying it.
Oh my goodness.
Star Wars Starfighter. I haven't said it out loud. I just like absorbed it in Japan in the audience. Yeah, we haven't talked about it much. So there's a little bit of backstory for this particular character.
Ooh,
if you're watching this on video, you can see Mia Goth's picture. That's her, in case you didn't know her. Me and James had a conversation before this. It's like everyone knows who Mia Goth is. No, I don't think they do, because she hasn't been in anything huge.
Well, she did the Pearl trilogy, you know,
Who knows
Maxine.
about the Pearl trilogy?
That was I mean, they weren't great, but they were pretty big. I felt like the fact that they got 3 of those movies was a pretty big deal. Um, I don't know, I thought everybody knew about her. The first time I ever saw her was in a movie called Emma with, Anya Taylor-Joy, and I was always like, "Oh, this actress is amazing, and she's so great, she's so cute, she's so quiet," and then you watch her other projects, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, she has insane range. She is amazing. She's a great actress." And then David, of course, we were like, "Oh yeah, she met, Shia LaBeouf on, should we say the name of the movie?
On a particular movie.
On a particular movie,
You guys can look it
and
up.
yeah, y'all can look it up. And they're married, and they have children. So it's like, so I was like, oh, everybody knows that. And Dave was like, nobody knows that. It's we're the weird ones who know all about this. But yeah, Mia Goth is going to be in the new Star Wars Starfighter film. And you pointed something out to us that I didn't know, but someone else was maybe up for that role, and it would have been a good move for this particular actress to take that role.
Right, it's very interesting because Mikey Madison, who just won the Academy Award for Best Actress, was offered apparently this same role that Mia Goth has accepted. And the reasoning out there why Mikey Madison didn't accept the role was for pay. I think she wanted more money for the role. And it feels like Star Wars is, when you look at all the salaries of all the previous actors, they're kind of notorious for not paying as much unless you're like
Mhm.
Harrison Ford or a legacy actor like that. So I think like Daisy Ridley only made something like $300,000 or something on
Yeah, she
The
didn't make
Force
much for
Awakens.
the first.
She didn't make much, but of course, when you're in Star Wars, I mean, you have so many other opportunities to make more money. So it's kind of like one of those deals where it's like, yeah, you want to take it, and you're pretty much set up. But I mean, it feels like there is a particular character that Sean Levy is looking for this Starfighter movie, and it's kind of what Mikey Madison and Mia Goth have kind of shown us,
Yeah.
like kind of like the kind of crazy, like deranged character. And there are some clips. If you go on TikTok, if you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of clips of her screaming at her co-stars. David Cornsweet, who stars in Superman, I think he was opposite her in the movie you referred to in The Pearl, and
Oh, yeah.
she's like screaming at him, and yeah, it's wild. And
Yeah.
I want to say like 20 some years ago, I came up with my own Star Wars story, and I had the same type of character in it, a female
Whoa.
protagonist that was like insane. And I think she's going to play like an insane person. So,
I hope so.
yeah,
But
she's got the chops for it.
it is shocking that Mikey Madsen did not take this part because, like I said, career-wise, that would have been a great move for her after winning the Oscar for Honora, which I did enjoy that movie. That movie was surprisingly, you know, not surprisingly great, but like the plot where I thought it was going to go ended up going a different direction, and I loved it. And I thought she was amazing in it. Um, and so yeah, it was really shocking when I heard her name being like it was like that consideration, and it was like, oh, of course, like why would she not want to take that part? But she passed, and then Mia Goth, of course, then David sends me a message. Mia Goth was cast, and it was like, oh, well, that's the like other amazing choice for whatever role this is, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what she brings to this role that we still don't know much about. We do know she is the protagonist, so we're still like, what kind of protagonist is that going to be? Um, we're kind of expecting somebody crazy, like David saying, someone kind of deranged, and which is I don't know. That sounds exciting. I mean, Amelia Clark did it she kind of was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the villain in the next solo movie." We never got that at all. So, yeah, I'm excited. And do you think she's gonna be like heavy makeup, or they're probably not gonna do all that with her? What do you think?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think you put heavy makeup on her. I mean, there was somebody on TikTok actually that was going over like her facial features and characteristics.
Hmm.
And they pointed out something interesting. They said if you notice that her eyebrows are, like, barely there, and the
Hmm.
eyebrows, like, give the most, inform people of if you're angry, what your basic emotion is. And she's done a lot of horror stuff, and they said the reason why she's been so good is because of like that aspect to her face that you can't tell if
Hmm.
she's like enraged or whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, she has an interesting background. And I'll kind of go over a little bit of it. Her full name, her actual last name is Goth, indeed, which kind of fits with her like her career trajectory. But her full name is Mia Gypsy Mello da Silva Goth. Very interesting name.
Very interesting name.
And she's considered to be an English actress. She was born in 1993 in October, of course. She was a model as a teenager. Um, she's been in many films. Like she did an art film in 2013. She was in The Cure for Wellness in 2016, High Life 2018, Suspiria, which was a big film.
Hmm.
I remember a lot of marketing for that. And of course, she achieved a career breakthrough. This is from Wikipedia, by the way, playing Maxine, and she was in the Pearl in the X film series. Um, so she was raised in London. She was also raised in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Oh.
And then she moved back to London and she moved back to Brazil. Then she moved to Canada. Her father's Canadian, her mother's Brazilian, and I think one of her grandfathers is an artist who actually, a famous artist, Lee Jaffe. He actually lived 5 years with Bob Marley.
Whoa.
Which, yeah,
That's
she
a
has a
great
very
sentence
kind
to
of
say.
interesting, yeah, family background here. And of course, like James mentioned, she's also married to Shia LaBeouf. I think they're still married. They got
I,
married, then they separated, then they got married again. So, and then they have children.
mhm.
So, yeah, a very specific archetype. If you go watch clips of her stuff, yeah, uh, she's done a lot of horror stuff. She's kind of out there. But between the two actresses, though, I've seen a lot more of Mikey Madison's work than I have of Mia Goth, just sitting down and watching film. And I've seen a lot of Mia Goth's clips. Mia Goth feels more organic to me.
Mhm.
Like she's not acting. Like when you watch Mikey Madison stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a performance. Mia Goth, it seems like it's real. Like it's like guttural.
Mhm.
And I think that's I would prefer to see an actress like that. And I think that's something this movie needs.
I agree. I like those interviews with her because you see like a clip from Pearl and her yelling at David Cornsweet's character, and then you see the interview with her and she's over here like, yeah, and then she has like the most soothing, soft-spoken voice, and you're like, oh my goodness, like you're nothing like those characters you're playing. I mean, and then you see her, yelling and screaming and just and like covered in blood, and then he goes back to her and she's just talking, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy that she's that versatile. Um, yeah, I will say this is really strange for Star Wars because we are getting because they cast Ryan Gosling, which was big because Ryan Gosling's huge, and then you're like, oh, by the way, he's the lead in a Star Wars movie, and then like, oh, we're also bringing in Mia Goth, and then it's like these are two heavy hitters that they're bringing in Star Wars. So this project is one of the rare projects where they're not doing what Lucas did, where he kind of brought in kind of unknowns into those roles. Now it feels like they're like, oh, we're gonna put big names in Star Wars now, and it's not gonna feel weird. We're gonna have huge people in these films, and so I think that's really interesting that they're doing that with this particular project. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I'm glad you said that because this casting gives a sense that Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy is letting Sean Levy cook.
Hmm.
Let him do his thing. Let him do what he wants. He's super successful with Stranger Things and Deadpool and Wolverine. He's a super talented guy. He gets along. If you watch the behind the scenes of Deadpool and Wolverine, you can see his process as a
Hmm.
director. It's really good. I mean, he works with people well. He's a good communicator on set.
Oh yeah.
His visions are clear. Um, and he seems like a really cool guy, a really cool guy. And he was an actor when he was younger, so he gets the whole acting game. He can relate. So it seems like this is shaping up to be something interesting, something kind of out of the box. You brought up interviews, so people are shocked when they listen to Mia Goth's actual voice
Yeah.
because, like you said, she plays these deranged characters in these horror films, and I guess she's never used her actual voice. So I have a clip here I'm going to play in an interview, and like I said, she was raised in London, so she's a little has a British accent, I guess you could say. But she's sitting on a couch there with Robert Pattinson, and they're doing an interview. And she says something very, if you watch this on video, you can see the text at the top and you can read it, and you're gonna know what we're gonna talk about next after it. But I'm gonna play this, and we'll share our thoughts.
Were you a fan of Twilight?
Me? Oh.
Me?
Oh.
I wasn't actually, but my friends were really into it. Like my friends had Rob on their walls, and like it was like a whole. But I just wasn't. I've never really. You know, I just never really connected to those kinds of movies. I never really understood like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or
Harry Potter.
Just anything you've done, I just don't get it.
no.
So lucky for her, she didn't say I never got Star Wars.
Yeah,
she Star Wars now. But I mean, would it have been a detriment though? Because then that just tells you you're pulling in an actress that's really going to act, you know. But see, Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings, I mean, that's like more like in our bubble and our nerddom. And I think we're all fans of it. But it's interesting that she's one of those people that's not a fan of like the popular thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very kind of like art house, like off the beaten path. But yeah, she is definitely an interesting actress, interesting choice. And like I said, I prefer her over Mikey Madison. And to go back to your point with Mikey Madison, I think if she wouldn't have won the Oscar, I think she would have accepted.
Oh, then she would have been like, okay, I'll do Star Wars.
Yeah, she's
now.
like, I need to ascend. She's already at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So now she's picking and choosing things. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but it was like a pay dispute. That's like the rumor out there. So she wasn't going to get it.
That sounds crazy. A pay dispute? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. And now she's doing like advertisements and stuff for like, I think perfume and Tiffany. And
that's a good gig if you can get, you know what I mean? Like if you can get that money rolling in that way, hell yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So prepare for Mia Goth. So the next person that I want to talk about, the other big news that kind of dropped, is the fact that it's resurfaced. And it seems like we get a story every week or two about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down, stepping away. But now it appears that they're going to go the same way, the same strategy that DC has taken with like co-presidents. So it looks like it could be, it's just a rumor. It could be Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck. And I mentioned Carrie Beck a few podcasts ago because if you look at the like hierarchy at Lucasfilm, you can go to lucasfilm.com. You can look at all the people that are at the heads of each department. Doug Chang is up there. It'd be cool if Doug Chang was the guy.
That would be pretty cool.
To me, that would make more sense. But we'll go more into that. But yeah, so Kathleen Kennedy, of course, I think she wants to. I would think she would want a female successor because, I mean, she is female, of course, and I think she has someone right below her that has been there for a long time. She's been like kind of like almost like a right-hand woman in a way. But yeah, I have a picture of her here. And if you go to IMDb, you can see some of her credits. She has been a producer on many things in Star Wars, Tales of the Underworld, Light and Magic, Skeleton Crew, Tales of the Empire, The Bad Batch, Ahsoka, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, Tales of the Jedi, Book of Boba Fett, Clone Wars, Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Star Wars Rebels, Lego Star Wars Freemaker Adventures. So she's been around for just about everything Disney Star Wars. And she also has some writing credits as well. I'm trying to bring that up here. But yeah, there's a whole list of stuff that she's in. As a writer, she's written on Resistance. She's written on Lego Star Wars All-Stars. She's written on Rebels, The Freemaker Adventures, and Droid Tales, which is also Lego. So, I mean, she's been there. And she's done a little bit of like behind-the-scenes stuff too. So, as a producer, it seems like she's been solid. The other part to it, of course, is the Dave Filoni aspect of it. It feels like being an outsider in South Texas looking in. It seems like Filoni is going to be the creative part. He is creative. Does he want these presidential duties for Lucasfilm? I mean, it doesn't feel like he would be that type of person.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
And is Carrie Beck ready for something like that? You know, I mean, I agree. I mean, it'd be seamless in some ways to promote from within like that. And the other big question is Carrie Beck a big Star Wars fan? It always felt like to me, Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, she's one of the greatest producers of all time, but was she a fan, like a big fan of Star Wars? I don't think that was the case. I don't think she knew who like Dengar was, you know, for instance. I mean,
I didn't know who Dengar was, and I was big Star Wars. You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, you would, maybe that's a bad example, but to me, I mean, I would want something that someone at the top that actually kind of is in it, you know, that is actually someone that has a Star Wars life. I mean, kind of growing up as an adult, I never met anyone that had like a Star Wars life per se. I was a big Star Wars fan, but not until I joined the 501st. I saw people that had Star Wars lives. I was like, wow, you could do that? Okay. That's interesting. I kind of want that too. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that like focus on Star Wars. So what's your opinion? What do you think?
like, not me, right? You talking about me? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have Star Wars lives. I mean, we have this podcast, and we're always talking about Star Wars, thinking about it. So, what's your opinion? Well, what do you think about this kind of possible rumored parenting of Star Wars?
I've always said I don't want Filoni anywhere at the top, except if it's for the creative part of Star Wars. You know, his background, which he was the the producer and executive producer and creator of Clone Wars, Rebels, and he's been helping out with everything. And I like him there. I don't know him. We don't know him, personally, but it feels like being president of something is not a part of his plan. It feels like he just wants to create these stories. He wants to produce these stories. He wants to help put these stories together for Lucasfilm, for Star Wars. I'm perfectly fine with him being the head of the creative department of Star Wars. And then Carrie Beck's name, and you watch the credits of every Star Wars project, her name is up there, either as producer, executive producer. She is a part of Star Wars. And so her stepping into Kathleen Kennedy's role for me makes sense. Again, we don't know. We're just, again, like David said, these rumors just keep happening. Like we just keep hearing Kathleen Kennedy is going to be stepping down. Kathleen Kennedy is, and then she says, no, I'm not. And then they bring it up again. So still, we don't know if this is particularly true. If Kathleen Kennedy will be stepping down this year. But Carrie Beck seems like a name and a person I would trust with Star Wars. And she's been there with Kathleen Kennedy. And so I feel like she should be pretty much ready to go as the head of Lucasfilm. I mean, that's my opinion. And I think Filoni, yeah, he should be high up there, but I don't think him being a president of Lucasfilm is the right choice, in my opinion. Oh, David's researching something. What are you
Yeah, so
researching?
Mariana Arnold on here says, I think it'll be Athena Portillo.
And then who's Athena Portillo? Oh no.
So I had heard the name before, and I wasn't too familiar with her until Japan. She's actually the vice president of animation. And
Oh,
yeah, she
yes.
was on the stage. She actually was brought out on the stage, I think, for the very first time.
She is, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember her now. We saw
Yeah,
her at the panel, at the animation panel.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's right.
So yeah, if you go to Lucasfilm website, it says Athena Portillo has been producing Star Wars animation for more than a decade. First as line producer for Star Wars: The Clone Wars, residing in both the San Francisco and Singapore offices, then as producer for Star Wars Rebels and executive producer for Star Wars Resistance. Portillo is currently an executive producer on the critically acclaimed Disney Plus series of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which was recently renewed for the 3rd season. A veteran of entertainment industry for over 25 years, Portillo joined Lucasfilm in 1996 as an intern in the licensing division. I want to be an
Nice.
intern at Lucasfilm. During that time, she became a freelance writer for the Star Wars Insider publication, which garnered her a cover story for one of her articles. She then became the product development coordinator for the Star Wars Special Editions and the Phantom Menace.
Whoa.
Portillo moved to Lucasfilm's VFX division, Industrial Light and Magic, in 2000 to pursue her interest in visual effects. She then went on to Tippett Studio, where she continued her production experience on films including Blade 2, Matrix Revolutions, and Constantine. All great films that I like. Eventually leading to her role as a VFX producer for the company. Portillo joined Lucasfilm Animation in 2006. Portillo has won 2 Emmy Awards for the Star Wars: The Clone Wars and received a combined 6 Emmy nominations for the Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, and The Bad Batch. She and her team have also garnered 5 Saturn Awards for Star Wars Rebels, Resistance, Bad Batch, as well as the prestigious Lumiere Award for Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. Portillo was recently recognized as one of the Hollywood Reporters of Women in Entertainment Power 100.
So her and Carrie Beck running Lucasfilm would be actually amazing.
That would make more sense to me.
That would be a hell of a team running Lucasfilm.
Right.
Yeah, let's
So-
do that.
So yeah, we all know
Yes.
Kathleen Kennedy. She's at the very top. Maybe I should share my screen here. I'm gonna.
Easy. Dude, I'm a little sad right now. I just broke my comlink, my Jedi comlink here on the
Oh,
podcast.
you broke it?
I broke it, dude.
Okay.
Gosh. So sad. Okay.
All right, yeah, my computer did something. So yeah, as we all know, leadership. This is Lucasfilm.com. You see Kathleen Kennedy is the president. We all know that. So there's someone behind her, Linwin Brennan, president and general manager of Lucasfilm Business. She would actually make more sense. I mean, if she has like a business degree, she's in the business environment. Being a president, I mean, it's a lot of business. Carrie Beck, of course, she's the rumored person. She's next on the list. Executive Vice President, Live Action Development and Production. Then Filoni, of course, we all know who he is. Then you have Momita Sengupta, Vice President, Physical Production. Then Rob Bretto. There's a lot of people here. And of course, our beloved Doug Chang. I mean, he would make a lot of sense too. We all know he's super creative. He's designed a lot. A very well-spoken guy. Great orator. Great communicator. I mean, he's just the man. He signed for the first time in Japan. Kind of regret not getting his autograph, but hopefully in LA we can get that rectified. But yeah, there's a lot of people here on the list. But yeah, the rumor is Carrie Beck, Dave Filoni, co-presidents in a way. Maybe Filoni does want this job. I mean, maybe that is something
that's a whole thing. We don't know what his end game is. You know what I mean? Like he could possibly be like, I want to be George Lucas of Lucasfilm. You know what I mean? Like he could secretly want that title, but I don't know.
It feels like Filoni is in his end game. He's doing what he
Exactly.
has
That's why I'm
always
like,
wanted to do, and I don't think he wants to do anything more than
just
what
stay
he's doing
there.
now.
Just stay there and help
Yeah.
create Star Wars stories and make your own Star Wars stories and help keep the story going. I think that's a great thing for Filoni to be doing. So
And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it jumps out at you that like you wouldn't think Filoni would want to take this job. Think about this. Think about Tim Burton. Do you think Tim Burton wants to run Warner Brothers?
oh no.
Right. It's
He
the
wants to just
same
keep
kind of
making
situation, I think.
dude, how come no one's done that analogy? That's a great analogy, David. It's like, do you think Tim Burton wants to stop making movies? Like, no. It's like, okay, then why do
Yeah,
we keep thinking Filoni wants to stop doing this?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, you think about Filoni, think about all of his interviews, and you try and get a sense of who he is. I mean, the analogy with Tim Burton didn't grow up loving Warner Brothers. I think Filoni grew up loving Lucasfilm. And I think anyone that's been a Star Wars fan, if you're offered that job, it's like you got to think about it at least, you know? I mean, you have final say, final cut, green lighting permissions on everything. I mean, you can guide and mold the Star Wars universe to as you see fit, along with Carrie Beck,
Yeah.
or a co-president. So there's a little bit of a difference there. So I don't think it's truly right on, but
Mariana on YouTube says, I doubt Filoni wants it. At his panel, he said it a lot. I just like drawing stuff and I send it to Athena and she says, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I again, I'm thinking he's like, this is what I love to do. I love to write. I love to create. I want to tell my story. And then he has his amazing team there, and of course Athena. You know what I mean? To be like, hey, let's do this. She goes, yeah, go for it. Let's start this project. I want Filoni where he is. You know, chief executive officer creative officer, chief executive, chief creative officer of Lucasfilm, and I would just want to keep him there. And yeah, we'll see. Again, we still don't know if Kathleen Kennedy is going to be leaving this year. All the rumors keep saying she's leaving. Then again, all the rumors said there was a civil war at Lucasfilm between her, Filoni, and Favreau 4 years ago, that she was on her way out, and that was not true. Favreau and Filoni were like, that's not what's happening. So we don't know. We have no idea if this is even going to happen, but it feels like it's getting kind of closer, only because how many times the subject has been coming up just this year alone. So it feels like there are discussions going around Disney and Lucasfilm about her, Kathleen Kennedy, of course, maybe stepping down from her title. So we just got to wait and see. We just got to see how this all plays out, and that's going to be a crazy day when they announce it. And then Kathleen Kennedy can go back to producing all the movies that she wants to produce. She probably has like a list.
I
you know,
want Kathy Kennedy to produce all the stuff. I mean, that'd be great. If someone does replace her, I just want them to be a Star Wars fan and not like think of being president of Lucasfilm as a job. I want them to think of it as like, I'm already a fan. I mean, I want them to think about not having to go to work when they go to work to do this job. And I mean, I know almost absolutely nothing about running a studio. I know nothing about business or anything, because I mean, that's all non-Star Wars related for the most part. But I mean, I want someone at the top thinking that they're not going to work. I mean, I think that's what we need. So.
Hopefully we get somebody like that in Lucasfilm. But then again, you know, Tony Gilroy wasn't a Star Wars fan, and it was just a job for him. You know what I mean? That's how.
Well,
but then eventually he was like, "Oh, now I can have a lot more fun with Star Wars," because he talked to, of course, Pablo and talked to Kathleen Kennedy. And what's funny, if you ever watch Tony Gilroy's interviews, it feels like he was only talking to Pablo and Kathleen Kennedy. Like, he didn't talk to Dave Filoni, it feels like, at all during Andor's production, and I was like, that's really interesting to hear. He never once mentions Dave Filoni in anything.
I mean, the Andor publicity push and like panels and interviews are still going on, man.
It's weird. Yeah, he was on Colbert.
Yeah.
Gilroy was on Colbert like 2 days ago, and it's like
Yeah.
that's not normal for Star Wars. Like I don't think anybody, and you pointed it out too. It's almost like Lucasfilm is like, hey, let's the show ended,
Keep it
but let's
going,
keep
yeah.
people's interest going because
Right.
and the numbers are still going up apparently on Andor, right? People are
Yeah,
watching this thing.
week after week. I mean, people are finding the show more and more, and it almost feels like Star Wars had like a stigma for the general public, like they didn't want to watch it. Maybe they got a bad taste in the mouth from Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian season 3 or whatever. I don't know, but it looks like there's a big Emmy push for Andor, and if they don't get nominated for acting, if Gilroy doesn't get nominated for writing, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be like it's gonna be another disservice, another tragedy in the industry, because it's like Stellan Skarsgård should have been nominated for Luthen Rail for season 1, and he wasn't. And it's like,
and then oh my gosh, Fiona Shaw should have been nominated for season 1. I mean, like she just absolutely.
I agree. Fiona Shaw also. She was. I mean,
I was like,
what do we all know her from? Harry Potter. I mean, she was the exact polar opposite of that character. And that just goes to show you, I mean, acting is an art. And
yeah,
I always talk about this when I saw James on the big screen in his acting debut. My wife turned to me and she goes, "Is that how James really is?" And I was like, "No, he's acting."
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
And I was like, wow. James. So James Herrera, Fiona Shaw, Stellan Skarsgård, they all blew me away.
Oh, well, that's a great place to be. Just to be mentioned with any of them would be the greatest, is the best honor ever. So thank you very much.
So okay, and I'll say this before you say anything else, James.
Oh boy.
So Tony Gilroy did he did another panel with Josh Horowitz, and he talked about how some of these actors that he was working with, they had never really done things outside of like the random like guest spots, and like he talked about some of these actors say, yeah, like, oh, I had to do this one show in Canada to make my car payment or to make my house payment or whatever. And he talked about, it's like, man, we had access to some really great actors that usually don't have a chance to shine, and they really shined in this. And there's like something over 40 speaking roles in Andor. Wow. And they talked about Genevieve O'Reilly, how he didn't get to choose her. He just ended up with her. But he's like, she was incredible, though. I mean, she is really, really great at playing Mon Mothma. And she's just a terrific actress. And I know for a fact now she actually is doing something in Australia, another project. She was on like a morning news program in LA, and she talked about that she has more work coming, as does everyone else. Diego Luna shot a musical film. I don't know if you know about this. Do you?
It's a well-known musical, right? Or what was it?
Something about like the kiss of the Spider Woman or something.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, he's in that. He might get more work after all the Andor stuff was done. But and also Tony Gilroy said he has another project with Oscar Isaac that they're trying to currently get funding on, and it's about film music.
Which I'm like, that sounds amazing.
It's like, huh?
So is like Oscar Isaac a film composer and working on a movie for this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's Tony Gilroy. I'm gonna watch it because I love his writing already, and the fact that he says that he already has Oscar Isaac. He goes, I already have him. We just need the money to do this. Like Oscar Isaac already said, yes, I am doing this. And I think a lot of people, when they read that, they're not reading that what the movie's about. So I think a lot of people think Tony Gilroy is working on like a Poe Dameron Star Wars project. And sorry to hurt everyone and break your heart, but it's not a Star Wars project. It's a Tony Gilroy, like his own original movie he wants to make with Oscar Isaac.
Dank Farrick, yeah.
How great that would be. But hold on, before we go on, Mariana says, I don't want a Star Wars fan. I want more non-fans that bring new stories and perspectives to expand Star Wars.
But I mean,
Ooh.
we've had that. That's my point. And
But we
my
only
point that I'm always making, and it seems like on every podcast now, it's like there's so much stuff that we want that they just don't want to give us. And it's like, why not? Why not concentrate
because
on
they're
that?
scared, David.
I mean, there's a lot of pieces to that equation. I mean, Star Wars has done the thing. Who's the hot guy at the time? Oh, Taika Waititi. Yeah, let's give him a film. Oh, Ryan Johnson. Let's give him a trilogy. Oh, Colin Trevorrow. Let's give him something. Sean Levy, $1 billion R-rated Marvel film. Let's give it to him.
That was a weird
don't
voice
know.
you just did right now. That was weird. that was a. If y'all heard that, y'all just go back and listen to what Dave just said. That was actually kind of funny. But
So that brings
yeah.
to the question: did Gareth Edwards spook them? Because Gareth Edwards didn't have anything big. He was an indie director,
Well,
and
he had Godzilla, which was massive. Like
yeah,
that was a big
mhm.
hit for that time and for the budget that he had.
They hardly showed Godzilla. Of course, it's going to be a low budget.
You know, but I will say you might be onto something though. That maybe that did scare them, because they had to bring in, of course, Tony Gilroy, whom we find out later. Tony Gilroy said he could have actually fought to have his name as the director of Rogue One, and he probably would have won that, which is ridiculous to think about.
So on this press tour, this
Uh-oh.
post Andor press tour, he was
That's
asked
going on for
again.
2 years. Yeah.
He was like, I know all you guys, Gareth Edwards, Kathleen Kennedy, Tony Gilroy, all avoid telling us what happened in Rogue One, what went down. Will you tell us anything today? And Tony Gilroy had the response of, not talking about Rogue One has fed my family for years, so no.
That is the best answer I have heard.
Because
That's
nobody
beautiful.
knows. I want to know. I hope we find out someday what happened.
I have access to somebody who would know,
Right.
but I could never ask them
Okay,
that question.
they said that person's name. It wasn't Kathleen Kennedy. I misspoke there. They said one of the writers of Rogue One.
Yeah.
He won't say anything. Gilroy won't say anything. Gareth Edwards. It's like, what happened? From at the outside, from South Texas looking in, it seems like, but it doesn't make sense when you look at Gareth Edwards' career and his trajectory. I mean, he's releasing Jurassic Park Rebirth here next month, starring Scarlett Johansson. And before that, he did The Creator with ex-Lucasfilm executive Carrie Hart. So she had a lot of faith in him. It wasn't like they didn't have faith in him. Like, we all know Rogue One had to be rescued, and Tony Gilroy was the guy who rescued it. But what exactly transpired to it having to be rescued? Me, as a Star Wars fan, if I was asked to direct Rogue One, my mind would be melted. I don't know if I could function, like my bodily functions would work because of the pressure, which has all been relieved after, I think, The Last Jedi, because that broke up kind of everything now, because it seems like you do anything in Star Wars now. But just the massive, and that's just for me personally, but the massive amount of pressure J.J. Abrams and Gareth Edwards had on them to make a movie where they had to deliver. I mean, did Gareth Edwards just seize up? Because we all know Gareth Edwards is a super fan. I mean, was the Star Wars of it all just too much for his directing mind, and he couldn't remove his fandom from his directing part of his duty? I mean, and of course, like you pointed out, Tony Gilroy, not a Star Wars fan. He doesn't care about that, but he does care about the fundamental parts of what Star Wars is about, and espionage and war, sneaking around, all the elements and aspects that Andor has. It's in the Star Wars universe. So that worked out perfectly. And a lot of people don't realize he's been doing this for many, many years. He said 10 years, I think, on the panel. He's been working on Andor. And then everyone's like, we want you to do another thing. He's like, I've done this for 10 years, guys.
Yeah,
I
he's
want
like,
to do something else.
I
Yeah.
want to come back to this. I want to make my own movie. You know, his first movie, I always bring it up, Michael Clayton. He got nominated for Best Original Screenplay and Best Director for his
There
first
was a
movie he
screening
directed.
of Michael
was a
Clayton
Michael
in
Clayton?
LA, and Tony Gilroy was there.
What? Nobody told me. Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
Oh,
he was there. The
that makes
crowd
me.
was like going crazy. He spoke to the crowd.
Oh.
I didn't know about it till afterwards, James. Otherwise, I would have told you.
Well, okay, fair, but
Yeah.
still,
But
that's a
yeah,
great
and he
movie.
talked about Bourne Ultimatum stuff. The stuff he says about the Bourne stuff is wild.
Yeah. Didn't he
He's-
say like he said thank God for 9/11? He said because he goes, I hate to say it, but we got the green light and they said keep going. And we said, all right, cool. Terrorism, espionage, you know, like this and that. And they were like, this is kind of relevant. So let's do this. And he was like, perfect. So he got to write, the Bourne Identity. So yeah.
So yeah, he said on Bourne, he's like, and these are his words, not mine. I'm not paraphrasing. He said everyone on that production hated each other. Nobody liked each other. And he's like, it confounds me that that thing was successful. He's like, everyone was not good except for Matt Damon. He's like, I love Matt Damon. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Got along with him. He's terrific. But everyone else, nobody liked each other. It was a horrible experience, but it was a success somehow. Which
Did Marshall produce all three of them, or just the
I
last
don't
two? I
know.
can't remember. Because if you watch it says Kennedy Marshall Productions, just so you know. So she was. That's how she most likely met Tony Gilroy through that. But it's it's weird to think. Force Awakens had reshoots, but of course we know that. Okay, again, this is what we were told. It was because Harrison Ford did break his foot, and they did do a pivot during the edit. That's what we are told, and that is what
that
we are
whole
going
movie
with.
changed after that.
Well,
They second guess their ideas and stuff, which they should have
exactly.
done.
That's where I'm getting to. And then Rogue One, same thing. They had to do a pivot, and from what we hear with Rogue One, it was almost like reshot completely. Like it was almost redone. And there's I rewatched it again, and there's one moment with Felicity Jones. You see the wig on one take, and then another camera angle, it's her real hair, and it was like, oh my gosh, they reshot that just scene in the ship because they had to reshoot it, and you could totally tell she's wearing a wig on some parts of Rogue One. And the only production, and I know you're gonna be like, come on, the only production that feels like didn't have any issues was The Last Jedi, which was why Disney and Lucasfilm were like, let's give Johnson a trilogy because he brought the movie in ahead of schedule, under budget,
like a month and a half early or something.
No, he was beginning of November. Okay, yeah, beginning of November. He said the movie is done. He goes 100% complete.
Well, not before the release date, but before the time he promised them.
Yeah,
so,
he was done ahead of schedule, under budget. They had no issues on that production, and they were like, perfect, give him a trilogy. And he was like, perfect. And so it's crazy to think something happened on Force Awakens. Again, like I said, we're hearing about it was Harrison Ford, but they repivoted the whole movie. Same thing with Rogue One. And it's like that scared them so much at the beginning.
Well, it was because they were given a deadline that was very short, that we got to pump a movie out.
Yes,
so, that was Disney. The problem.
Disney should not have. I am still under the impression that I'm pretty sure Kathleen Kennedy was hoping for a 2017 Episode 7 release. I think 40th anniversary of A New Hope, Episode 7, I think would have been a really good, cool thing. That would have given them 3+ years to make the movie, get the movie out, and everything. And it felt like, and again, I've heard rumors. I've heard it was about some of it, even involved the parks at Disney. It was like, we got to get this thing out quick because we need to start making up the money that we spent on Lucasfilm now. So those are the stories I've heard. It involved a lot of pieces to get the movie out by 2015.
What if, James, if we were there in Orlando in 2017 at that 40th panel, The Force Awakens hadn't come out yet. It was about to come out. And they talk about, yes, we're going to release our first film since Revenge of the Sith. And we're going to watch it right now.
Ugh. People would be crying.
Like armed guards would be like at the exits, and people would just like be staring at you.
I'm about to say there would be people at every row watching
Yes,
you, making
just
sure you
looking
do
at
not
you.
see anything. Oh, fun fact before we go on, I went to go see The Cursed Child at the Pantages just this last week,
wow.
and a great show. Anyways, people were recording, and the ushers came in with flashlights and like shining it in their faces, like put them up but during the performance. And I was like, that's so rude of you people to be recording a play. Anyways, so yeah, if they would have
Bag
shown
up the cell phones, man.
What's up?
Bag up the cell phones.
Bag
They do the
them
comedy
up.
show
I
all the
agree.
time.
But
Or leave it in the car.
I will say, I think the just the hurry up and get these movies out is what really, again, I like Force Awakens. I love Rogue One. I think may have affected some of the quality, and then the re-pivot of like, oh my gosh, no, we need to do this now. And I hate to say that we're never gonna get the Star Wars archives of 2015 to 2019 that we got from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, those books, because I don't think Disney wants to release what was going on behind the scenes during the production of Force Awakens and Rogue One. I don't think we're ever going to hear about that. Maybe in the next 20 years, somebody's going to say, okay, this is what went down on those productions, because it's weird. It was really weird. All the stories that started happening around, and all the pivots, and then the fact that you were like, oh, they had this whole other Force Awakens movie that they were going to shoot, and that they were filming, and then they redid the rest of it. And then, the lightsaber was the MacGuffin of the whole Force Awakens movie, which once you hear that, it makes so much more sense. The very end of the movie, when she hands Luke the lightsaber, you're like, oh, that was the journey. The journey was the lightsaber, the whole movie. So,
and this is something I think about a lot too. It's like Gareth Edwards. I mean, if he messed up Rogue One, he still got work in Hollywood. He's still got directing jobs. He's doing Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. He's doing another big franchise film.
Well, I think that was, again, it's Frank Marshall, the producer, Kathleen Kennedy's husband. So it's like, I think the creator was one for me.
Worked out a deal or something?
One for me, the creator, one for me, and now one for you. And probably got a good price. You know what I mean? Like, will you do this movie? And he goes, yeah. And plus Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, I think are they calling it Jurassic World or Jurassic Park?
Yeah, Jurassic World.
That goes back to a lot of Gareth Edwards' roots, the monster movies, because he got big off of monster movies, and which is how he got the Godzilla role. So it felt like Frank Marshall and team were like, all right, well, hey, you want to go back to that genre that you love? And he was probably like, well, yeah, of course, because why not? So yeah, it is, like you say, it is crazy that it was a troubled production, but he still is getting pretty big projects and movies. So I don't know. He did something right on Rogue One. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure there was
the exact situation. Did he mess something up? Did he do a bad job, but somehow he's getting directing jobs? Do you think that's even possible?
I don't. It's weird. It
doesn't
make
did
sense.
Something happen out of their control? What
it doesn't make sense. It absolutely.
It's very odd. Because if he did a horrible job on Rogue One, how is he still doing big budget movies?
And the fact that one of the producers of Rogue One left,
and he has his name on the film too, as the director. They never took that off, but of course, for legal reasons, that might be there.
That's a Directors Guild legal reasons. Which again, like Tony Gilroy said, he could have fought and won, and he was told to take his.
You get a story by credit, right?
What was that?
You got a story by credit, right?
Who? Gareth Edwards?
And the end credits, Gilroy?
No, I think Gilroy's screenwriter. I believe he's a screenwriter of Rogue One.
Hmm.
Should we look it up?
No, we don't have to.
But yeah, I don't think we'll ever know. I'm pretty sure there was a meeting at Lucasfilm with Kennedy, Edwards, Gilroy, Iger, and other people, and they were like, "All right, we can never tell the public what happened with this production. Sign these NDA forms. If you say anything, you're cut off." Which is why Gilroy makes the joke, "Hey, I've been doing pretty good, since, you know what I mean, by not talking about it." So I'm just
You
gonna,
think they went to the length of signing NDAs about this thing?
yes, only because no one's talking about it. Only because no one is saying anything about it. There's a screenwriter, or really one of the screen. I'm not going to say who it was, but
Yeah, makes sense.
even they are like, I cannot say anything about this project. So I
Wow.
even asked the person who I know could get me access to them, and he was like, "Oh, he doesn't bring it up like ever." And it was like, "Jeez, man, it's just quiet."
Taking it to the grave
I think it's going to be one of those things,
or into the old men.
yeah, or years and years from now, they're going to finally say this is what happened, or who
I
knows,
want to
maybe
know.
there's an Edwards cut out there of the movie, and
That we'll never see.
from what Tony Gilroy had said and from what other people had said, it was a mess. They said Rogue One was a mess of a movie. And it's like, how could it, like, what do you mean it
But I
was a
mean,
mess?
you
Explain
shoot
that.
a movie and it's like all these little parts and pieces. You got to
Mhm.
find it in the edit. Even in the edit, they couldn't find a movie.
I guess not. I guess
That's
it didn't
wild.
make sense. I guess the lead up to the battle didn't make sense. I guess the battle itself. I mean, again, we know that famous shot of them running from the hangar, and the AT-AT is looking at them because
Yeah,
they were going to
firing
go to the
right at them. They're
tower.
running to the AT-AT.
Yeah,
The
because
AT-AT.
at the AT-AT. Yeah, because the tower that they need to go up on is behind the AT-AT. So
Oh
there
my
was like
gosh.
a
That scene looks
whole,
so cool too, running with the hard
yeah.
drive.
And then Gilroy said, "No, it's in the same building." Like, no, don't do that. Just go. Shh, it's in the same building. They have to go up and it was like, oh, okay, that makes that simpler. So things like that is what he came in to fix. And so, man, I want, and I agree with you. Like, how could you not find a movie in what you filmed? And then we find out later, oh yeah, the shot of her walking up to the TIE fighter on the railing, that was just for the trailer. Like, that wasn't even. And I remember everybody freaked out when they saw that because it looked so freaking cool. And it was like, what's the story? What's happening? Does she know the pilot? Is she got to have a standoff with the pilot? Like, oh man, so many rumors about that.
Mm.
And then they're like, oh yeah, that wasn't in the movie. It wasn't supposed to be in the movie. Oh, geez. We'll
It's
never know.
almost been 10 years, James, and we're still talking about Rogue One.
And you know what? I think that's pretty cool. I did watch Rogue One again after Andor season 2. I went directly into it after Andor season 2, and it made me look at Jen Erso like, why are you here? Why are you the lead? I just spent all this time with this actor and this character, Cassian Andor, and his journey, only for him to take a side seat to your journey now. And it feels really weird. And I've heard other podcasters also say the same, where Jen Erso's character is kind of like, okay, it doesn't have the same effect anymore, only because of what we've already seen with Cassian. So, anyways, we'll get into that one day.
Yeah. So the next thing
What
that
do
we're
you
going to
got?
talk about here is Mark Hamill.
Of
He's
course,
in
why
the
not?
news, and I have a little video to play. So here we go.
Listen, I am so grateful to George for letting me be a part of that back in the days, the humble days when George called Star Wars the most expensive, low-budget movie ever made. We never expected it to become a permanent franchise and a part of pop culture like that. But my view is like, I had my time. I'm appreciative of that, but I really think they should, focus on the future and all the new characters. And by the way, when I disappeared I left my robes behind, and there's no way I'm going to appear as a naked Force ghost I'm just letting you know that right now.
Hopefully you could have heard it. It was a little low, but
Yeah, it was a little low. Sorry about that.
that
But
was a
basically, yeah, he
but
was saying that Star
he's
Wars needs to
done.
move on to the newer characters and kind of leave Luke Skywalker behind. And he made a
Which
joke at the end when he doesn't want to come back as a naked Force ghost because he left his robes behind in the Last Jedi. But I mean, it is a joke. Yeah, it's funny. But he did reappear in the Rise of Skywalker with his robes on. So
which makes me wonder, because I was even thinking
does he
that I
not
was like,
remember he was in the
did you not remember you were in the Rise of Skywalker? Which I don't know. Maybe he doesn't remember he was in the Rise of Skywalker. I don't know. We'll never know.
No.
But just kidding. But I will agree with Mark Hamill. He will forever be known as Luke Skywalker, and that is not a bad thing to be remembered. You know what I mean? Like, that is a hell of a name. And, for a while, he was the biggest star in movie history, Um, I think he's on the right path there with saying, okay, it's over for me. Let's let the new generation come in and let's focus on what the new characters and the new stories they could create. What do you think? Do you think that's wise of him to say?
Luke Skywalker, I want to say, is my most favorite character in Star Wars. I always wondered as a kid growing up, I'm like, where's Luke Skywalker at? I didn't see him in any movies. Then I was like, okay, his name is Mark Hamill. Where is he? Why do we see Harrison Ford in all these things and not Mark Hamill? I'm like, is his acting not good enough? I don't think that was the case. His acting is pretty good.
Yeah.
His acting chops were great in the sequels. He's currently in a movie in theaters right now, Life of Chuck. So
With Tom
he's
Hiddleston.
getting cast, and he's doing another. I think this was a Stephen King story,
Oh no, I don't know.
and he's in another Stephen King film that there's a trailer out for it. So yeah, he can act, man. He's maybe his face was too recognizable. They didn't want that whole.
But then how did Harrison Ford get? Oh,
I
okay,
think
but then
they
again, it
considered
was
Harrison Ford not to be the star of Star Wars. It was
Yeah.
Mark Hamill. It was Luke Skywalker. I don't know. It
I
was a
think
little
you're onto
odd.
something
Same
there.
thing kind of happened with Carrie Fisher too.
Yeah.
I mean, Carrie Fisher has that famous story of going to see Mark Hamill on Broadway and looking at the playbill, and it gives Mark Hamill's like bio, and it's like appeared on this on stage, and also in a series of very popular space movies.
Like,
And
they don't
Carrie
want to draw
Fisher's like,
attention to that.
wait
Yeah.
a minute. Why aren't you talking about Star Wars here? He's like, you don't get it. You're Luke Skywalker, and I'm Princess Leia. Get over it.
Oh, I love that. What was that? Wishful drinking
Yeah.
show that Carrie Fisher did where she would go on stage, and I think it was on
Yeah.
Broadway, and she did something and she quoted Star Wars, and then she says, oh, by the way, that was from Star Wars. And if you've never seen Star Wars, she looks at the crowd and goes, why are you here? It's like, why are you here if you've never even seen Star Wars? But I love that bit where she says she always has to pay George Lucas a couple of bucks when she looks at herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, with seeing Mark Hamill in The Last Jedi, again, like you thought, I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. He is doing amazing. And I also, like you thought, why hadn't Mark Hamill been in other things? Like, he could have easily taken over any leading role in any movie and probably done a really damn good job with it. But yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe he was just way too recognizable as Luke Skywalker, and nobody could see him as anything other than that. And then going to Harrison Ford, Steven Spielberg did not want to cast Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. He was refusing to cast Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And George Lucas looked at him and said, it has to be Harrison. Like, there's nobody else who could play this. And Spielberg was like, nope, not going to do him. And it wasn't until Tom Selleck fell through that he said, all right, I think we have to go with Harrison Ford. And yep.
Yeah. Incredible Hollywood history there. So yeah, like I said, I love Luke Skywalker. I love Mark Hamill. When I was a kid, I was like, where is this guy at? I can't see him in anything else. But then again, I would always ask, why aren't there other movies like Star Wars that didn't really exist? All the questions I had as a kid.
Yeah.
So
Everyone else was wondering about this, but you were like, where's
yeah,
Mark
I
Hamill?
was like, where are all the other Star Wars movies? Episode 4? Where's 1, 2, 3? Where's 7, 8, 9? Why are they called episodes?
Yep.
Why is this the only film that doesn't have credits at the beginning? Why do we get this long crawl? Why is this the only thing like this? What happened?
Why am I becoming obsessed with this by the day? Yeah.
Why doesn't anyone outside in my little town talk about this? It's like a family secret.
Well, that's the perks of growing up in South Texas. Is, you know,
And then you find out everybody loves Star Wars.
yeah. And like I said, I go on my Facebook or Instagram and everybody's posting stuff about Star Wars. And I'm like, you like we never talked about Star Wars ever in high
It's like,
school.
didn't you make fun of me for like
Yeah,
Star
it's
Wars?
like,
It's like
you
I've
make
been in
fun of
this
me.
fight since I was 6 years old.
But this fight since I was 6 years old. That line now means a lot when he says, "You're not the only one who lost everything." Like, there's lines in Andor or in a Rogue One that I'm like, dude, like this makes a lot of sense. Or at the beginning now when the guy says somebody named Urso and Andor's like Galen Urso, because it's like he just heard the name and now it's confirmed. It is. Oh man, it's so cool, man. Anyways, we need to do a whole podcast, Andor Remembered, and just nerd out about Andor, because good God, was that amazing.
Yeah.
Some of the critics are calling it one of the best Star Wars shows ever. Some of them are saying it's one of the best television shows in like the last 10 years. Like they're saying it's, and then somebody else
if it doesn't
said,
get nominated for big awards,
what's
I
up?
mean, if it doesn't get nominated for big awards,
Oh, and it's gonna be dumb. Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Like, I mean, Diego Luna already did get a nomination for Best Actor, which was pretty big for season 1. But he was going up against like Kevin Costner and like other like heavy hitters. But yeah, this season, him, Genevieve O'Reilly, Stellan Skarsgård, who else? I mean, those are like the big ones who should be nominated for their performances, and then plus the individual shows. The Gorman Massacre episode might win Best Director, best show. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the highest rated of the.
There's 5 episodes that have like a 9.5 or above, which has never happened
in a row. Okay, mind you, in a row, meaning Sopranos does have 9.5 episodes. Breaking Bad, same thing. The Wire, but to have 5 consecutive episodes over 9.5 rating has never been done before. And that just shows you how once that Gorman Massacre arc hit, everything, like, people were in tune, and then the writing just got so much crazier, and it was amazing. So
yeah, made so much sense and very timely. But those situations are happening in the world all the time. And they brought up the fact that, like, did you write this to mirror what's happening and what's happening right now? And it's like, well, no, I couldn't have, because I wrote this a long time ago. And it just happens that, I mean, it's all this type of like historic, all these historic events. It's like cyclical, it comes back around. Unfortunately,
it's weird. Yeah, because I remember the whole, like, they're asking for papers, they're checking to see if you're a citizen here, and everybody was like, "That's crazy that Star Wars is doing that." And people are like, "Oh, they're just trying to be woke," and it's like, somebody, I read a comment, people were like, Star Wars doesn't have to be woke, and they were like, well, and they're like, well, it's kind of what it's about. George Lucas himself said, the first Star Wars was mimicking kind of telling the parable, kind of, if you may, of the Vietnam War. And then somebody commented like, well, if that's the case, then America would have been the empire. And somebody commented like, well, you're not going to believe this. It's like, wait until I tell you.
Yeah, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I saw a documentary about the war in Afghanistan that we had, this last one.
That one, yeah.
There's been a few wars in Afghanistan,
few.
But there was a war reporter who, like, got down in the trenches and would go to the Afghanis' houses and talked to them and they brought up Star Wars. They're like, hey, Star Wars came from America. How do you guys not see that we're living through Star Wars right now? We're the rebellion and you guys are the empire.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you guys not understand that? And then when she addressed that in the interview, they just cut to something else. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, guys. I mean, George Lucas is trying to tell us something. I mean, there is like a message in all this. It's the humanities. George
Yes.
Lucas has said this. This is all about humanity and what happens. And I would love to hear his thoughts currently about what's going on now, because there's a lot of craziness going
Yeah,
on now.
and it's so funny how people are like, Star Wars doesn't need to be political. It doesn't need to be this. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, don't you, the story, it's there. Like, it's been there from the beginning. And I don't understand. And then how George Lucas with the prequels was like, oh yeah, we're not going to do the wars, if you may. We're going to show what began everything. I mean, we still got amazing battles in the prequels, but if you got to look, it's mostly about the politics of what led to the downfall of the Republic and how that happens, which is insane. And the people hated it when it first came out. And I think that's why the prequels, of course, the Collins generation, grew up on those. And now people are going back and watching the prequels going like, oh my gosh, this is kind of scary how well George Lucas predicted what's kind of currently happening now. And it's weird. And it's scary, but at the same time, it's like Star Wars is cool, So yeah.
Back to Mark Hamill though.
Anyways, back to Deadpool. Yeah, that's
Yeah, so I mean, his comments. I mean, he did other interviews on other red carpets and stuff like that, and he talked about how he wants to move on. I don't want to move on from Luke Skywalker though, and I don't think we really have to with technology, with respeecher, with deep fakes, and rebuilding him. There's animation. James Herrera pitched an idea that we could do like an animated thing, and you could use all the same voices and show what happened directly after Return of the Jedi. Just begin the animated film or series right after that. And that's another thing I think everyone would love to see.
Yeah.
I mean, that story would be locked and written in ink and be canon pretty much. And there'd be a lot of pressure there, but I mean, I think that's something everyone wants to see. So I don't think we're limited now. I mean, there's of course a budget and everything, but I mean, what technology can offer up now, it's that there are no limitations really. The only limitation now is budget and paying people.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just saw Bigfoot vlogging on Instagram. I sent it to you, and I was like, "This is insane." But yeah, I agree. I'm okay with them keeping Luke Skywalker alive. Within like maybe like an animated something. But having Mark Hamill come back, I think let's just let Mark Hamill live out the rest of his life. And who knows? Maybe he has a great project, and he's probably going to win an Oscar here very soon, which. I don't understand why he wasn't nominated for The Last Jedi, because I thought that performance in Last Jedi was just as great as Alec Guinness's was in A New Hope, So I'm down with Luke Skywalker being in projects, but yeah, let Mark Hamill just kind of move away from and go on. That's my thought on it.
Yeah. All right. I think that those are all the big stories in the news there. So anything else you want to bring up, James?
No, just glad to be back podcasting, talking about Star Wars. So much fun. And yeah, again, it's really weird to be on TikTok and Instagram and just seeing so many interviews with Tony Gilroy talking about Star Wars. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, did he think he was still going to be doing this? So it's kind of wild.
Yeah, and there are some very interesting interviews that he's done. The one I recommend is the one he did with Josh Horowitz. I think it was on his Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, but he's on a stage in some theater, and it's very, very insightful. He says a lot of interesting things, and Tony Gilroy, he's always been candid, but I think he's a little bit more candid than usual in this. And it might be happening. I think it was in New York actually, because after this or before this, he did Colbert. So,
which was funny because he gave Colbert a something written in Elvish.
Yeah, thank you note written in Elvish. Yeah, that's awesome. So it's like, does he love the Lord of the Rings and he's not a Star Wars fan? It's like, what?
That could be a possibility. He could be a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan for all we know. You know what I mean? Oh, did you see he got the shirt, the unofficial, unlicensed?
Yeah, and he's talked about bootleg stuff before, and it's like, dude Disney does not want you talking about that.
That is wild that he did that. He showed everybody, oh, by the way, there's a shirt made. It's not licensed, but this is a pretty cool shirt. And I'm surprised Lucasfilm didn't jump on that, because that's a hell of a shirt to be wearing with the Andor logo. Like that's pretty great. So,
oh, and by the way, very timely here with your shirt that you're wearing right now, written and directed by George Lucas. At one of these panels, they pulled an audience member up on stage and said, "Written by Tony Gilroy."
Whoa. Okay.
And then Tony Gilroy was like, "Okay, sit down." He's like, "I'll give you your $50 later."
Oh man.
But it was in white. It wasn't in blue, like the classic blue font. Yeah.
But that's a cool shirt to have now, written by Tony Gilroy. That's pretty good.
That I think that is the shirt right now.
Yeah. I mean, and just he like, and again, I know but man, watching A New Hope now feels different after watching Andor. Like watching that journey, watching the battle, the trench run on the Death Star, all feels so much more different now after watching Andor and seeing what leads up to it all. And it's like, this isn't like when the Death Star blows up now, it feels so amazing because it's like they did it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
All right, James, hypothetical. 14-year-old kid comes up to you. I want to get into Star Wars. Where do I start? What do you tell this kid? Where do you start watching?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Do you tell him Andor season 1, season 2, Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back? It might be that now.
Ah, jeez.
That might be the sequence.
But then, so I don't know though, because I feel like watching the movies than watching the shows, I think would be better.
The thing for me is you don't want to spoil the big spoiler, the big revelation in The Empire Strikes Back. So you don't want them watching the prequels first.
Yeah.
Or maybe skip Revenge of the Sith and have them do like 1, 2, and then maybe skip to something else.
All right, Mariana on YouTube says start with Solo, LOL. As funny as that is, that's not a bad place to start.
Yeah, that's not.
That gets you kind of into the world of Star Wars, and there's really nothing. I don't know. It's a fun adventure story that doesn't rely on a lot to do, and it's a fun place to kind of get the world of what Star Wars is, and a good introduction. I don't know, man. I don't know how I would do.
As of right now, I'm saying Andor season 1, season 2, Rogue One, then A New Hope.
Wow.
If they really want to get a good understanding of what's going on, because you're going to have to tell them, hey, you're going to have to stick with it. It's going to be a little prodding. You're going to learn about the war. It's called Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get to A New Hope, you're going to know that that's what started it all, but you're going to be able to see the lead up to it. Can you imagine watching Andor first and then watching A New Hope? Because there's a lot of fun in A New Hope. There's not a whole lot of fun in Andor.
Yeah, that's why I'm nervous to tell somebody to watch Andor first, because Andor for me,
kids can take it though.
Oh no, I mean they can take it, but it's the quality of the story and the quality of what's going on, and then you
Yeah,
watch
but they'll
everything.
have that whole backstory of everything when they're watching A New Hope.
That's true.
So they have that foundation.
That's true. Hell,
So they'll
even
have
watching.
a lot of more information to take in and to kind of hold up A New Hope. They'll have a lot of fun,
Mhm.
and they get to see Vader, like that hallway sequence.
I
God, man.
I don't know,
If you could
man.
erase my memory and go back and watch it all, I wonder what that would be like.
Like I said, watching, and because I did season 2 Andor, and I went directly into Rogue One, then I went directly into A New Hope. It just felt different, and it felt so rich to watch. Like it was interesting to watch, and like the scenes with Tarkin in the boardroom, and you see a ISB security
Right.
guard. You're like, oh, there they are there, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, and then he's like, the Senate is no longer here, and you're like, if Palpatine did it, and you hear the Emperor's name,
Right.
it just
You gotta
felt
tell them to pay
so.
attention to the names in Andor because they
Yeah.
mention Tarkin, Palpatine. Don't mention
Yep.
Vader.
And it's interesting, even watching the Phantom Menace now, and knowing how the Senate works, knowing how all that works from Andor, and watching how Palpatine is working, all of that, it's crazy to think all the political stuff in the prequels really lead well into Andor as well. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. This little show about a character whom we didn't know anything about 20 years ago is kind of changing how we're viewing Star Wars now. And I think that's insane. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's more opportunity to do Star Wars stories like Andor and just other parts, maybe not the Rebellion, or maybe I think you suggested continue Andor, some of those characters with Clea and everyone else that's there. I mean, you could have a series or a movie about Yavin. I don't think a movie, but maybe some type of series.
Can
I
you
mean,
imagine
all the droids?
next year they announce a series called Clea, and it's about during the original trilogy and what Clea is doing during all of that for the rebellion, her and Mon Mothma.
Yeah, and there's other great stories out there that's in novel form in the comics about
Yeah,
what happens during the original trilogy, just not starring like the big three. And I think that's something that
that needs to be done. Like,
Lucasfilm really needs to exploit
oh yeah,
because there's something about having the original TIE fighters, original stormtroopers. I mean, that era, people get it. I mean, all the old heads out there, all the people that love Star Wars. I mean, it's stuff is iconic, man. I mean, it's so immediately recognizable that it's like, let's stay here, guys. Let's stay here for a bit.
let's go back to Tatooine.
I love Tatooine. The history of Tatooine would be great.
That would be pretty
Because
cool. Actually.
according to a certain point of view, if you dig through that sand, you're going to find wreckage of ships, past battles. Tatooine at one point was a water planet like Camino. Then it dried up. What happened? Was it because of a war? Was it because of a super weapon? What happened? Did someone mine the water?
Yeah, it's like, what happened? But then the banthas can dig, and they find those water pods, and that's what they're
Okay.
eating. That's why the banthas are in the desert. I know we're always like, do they eat sand? It's like, no, they're grabbing the water pods, and that's what keeps them safe and keeps them going. So
Mm.
that would okay. I take back my Tatooine joke. That would be a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just saying.
There's so many like little stories like that, little like seeds of stories that they can build off of. That would be great. But yeah, I want it all live action though.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, there you
Mostly. There are some animation styles like The Killer of Killers that was just released on Hulu about the Predator.
go. Oh yeah.
That's a pretty interesting animation style, and I can get behind that. It's a little artsy and stylized, but
We got Mariana on YouTube said we got a couple little moments in animation of Dark Disciple, but that is one of the best side stories. One of the best side stories. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hope we get something like that. I mean, that would be really, really cool, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I think that is the show for today. Thank you so much for everyone that watched and listened on our last podcast. We kind of came back from a little hiatus there, and yeah, the response was great. So thank you so much. Listen to us on Spotify if you can. Of course, like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to us anywhere and everywhere. We are everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. Patreon, of course, we talk about it all the time at the top of the podcast, usually, unless you forget or if we're too excited. But Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187, check us out there. Zach, new dad Zach, just did a series of comic reviews that I'm going to release on Patreon, hopefully pretty soon here. Also, Lucasfilm Disney, if you want to contact us, or if you're watching, Star Stuff Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to invite us to anything, we're good to go. James lives right down the street from the El Capitan, so he's ready. Facebook, Star Wars Stuff Group, Star Wars Stuff Podcast page. Check us out there. And also, if you want to write us a review on Apple, give us 5 stars. That helps our podcast a lot, gets a lot of visibility for us. And thank you so much, guys. And for James, my name is David. And we have friends everywhere.
That was good. That was really good.
All right, till next time. May the Force be with you.
Always.